All right, guys, let's go check out our herb and tea garden. Right here in this front black pot, that's stevia. So it seems to have taken quite some time to really get going, but it's starting to do well even though it's been like super hot. So I just started harvesting a couple of the leaves for dehydrating and using to sweeten up the tea. The top black pot, that is the yellow toothache plant. If you chew on them, they will numb your mouth. So I'm actually surprised the boys haven't tried that yet. Now, this is kind of like a raised bed that I put together last year out of random logs and rocks, and I decided to use it more for herbs this year and pretty much just have basil, a couple different types of basil in there. So there's lemon basil right here, and then I have two different types of your regular basil. I think one's Emily basil and the other's the Marshmallow basil. Then there's of course like a purple or an opal basil, and then this here is a volunteer marigold, I believe, so I just let that pop up. But this is blue spice basil. So once you come down from the raised bed, I actually have fennel, and I've never grown fennel before, and it looks a bit scraggly because the swallowtail caterpillars pretty much decimated it, and now they're trying to come back. So you can see they really got chewed up, really eaten down. Pretty much all of like the fern part of the fennel got decimated by the swallowtails. So I'm trying to have it grow back. I didn't mind sacrificing the fennel to have the swallowtails have a good meal. So we're hoping we can still harvest the fennel, but I do have that in there. And in front of that I have thyme, but that looks really kind of weak right now. And I don't know if it's because it got super hot. We had like this really bad heat wave of like 90-degree weather. So it kind of looks a bit scraggly, but we got winter thyme and then orange yellow thyme. And so hopefully that starts to take off. This is hyssop, and I started these from seed last year and they really took off. The bees love hyssop. Bumblebees, honeybees, the butterflies, they really do like it. It's got kind of like a licorice smell. So if you do dehydrate it, you'll kind of notice that smell. I haven't used it in tea or for cooking, but it definitely has a really strong smell and flavor from what I've heard. So that's something that is beneficial not only for the bringing in your pollinators, but can also be super flavorful too. And then down here, this is Strawberry Fields Gomphrena. So these little flower buds, you can use fresh or dried, and you can put them in tea, and supposedly just looks really pretty. But it took them a while to really get going here, but now that they are, they're putting up these really, really nice flowers. And straight behind the Gomphrena is candy stripe zinnias. So they're just really pretty. I'm not really dehydrating them or using them for tea, but they're really pretty. Now, what you will see in the tea garden is I have these plants called Job's Tears. You'll see that there's like these little, they look like teardrops or like beads. With Job's Tears, you get like these little like grains, and you can use them as beads. You can use them for like jewelry making. They're just kind of really pretty. Supposedly you get kind of like all different colors. So this is the first one I've actually pulled off of the plant, and this one is kind of like a nice like light brown. Now, this lavender here, I bought from a local nursery last year, and it survived our upstate New York winter really well, and it's come back. And I've started to harvest these like sprigs when they get to be about 12 inches long. So this one here, probably tomorrow morning, I'll come out and snip. And I've been dehydrating them or just laying them on a paper bag in the basement just to dry out. In here, this is the Agastache. I think that's how you pronounce it. This one is the rose mint. And then I have Navajo Sunset there as well. The hummingbirds particularly enjoy it. And it also kind of has I want to say a licorice smell and flavor, so you can use that into tea. And it brings in the pollinators as well. So it kind of bushes out. It's really pretty and flavorful. So that's why I put it in the garden. Down here I do have marjoram that I started from seed, and I'm not quite sure if it really likes how hot it gets up here, but I do have some new growth coming up, so I'm gonna see how that plays out. It should come back every year and spread, so I think next year it's gonna look super healthy. And then I got some more zinnias because they're just really pretty, and more hyssop. You can actually see the bumblebee kind of blowing in the breeze. He likes the hyssop. Usually in the morning, you can hear the bumblebees and the honeybees pretty much all over the hyssop. They're just going bananas having their breakfast. But right in front of this hyssop here, this is sweet mace marigold. And this, you can use the flowers and the leaves in tea. I can't quite remember what the flavor is supposed to be like, but I do believe you can also use the yellow flowers in dye. So if you wanted like a yellow orange dye for something, I think you can use the flowers. And so it's kind of a different, it doesn't look like your typical marigold. It's really tiny flowers, really kind of pretty. And then I got a little bit of lemon balm down below here that I was given by my mother-in-law. So we popped that down here, so hopefully it'll spread out. And I have some Russian tarragon right in here that I got as seed. So I just sprinkled it in. Just figured it could fill in that space right next to some phlox that's already flowered for the year. So those are done. Looks very plain right now. And of course, like the echinacea, that's really super important, I think, in a herbal tea garden. But I have that one there that's full of flowers I got from a local nursery last year. So this is its second year here, and I've started harvesting some of the leaves and some of the flowers for drying for tea. And then I started some from seed this year. So I kind of circled around the established plant with some that I started, and they're coming up. They will be doing much more flowering next year. But I wanted kind of a big area of echinacea because that's important. Now just to the left of the echinacea, this is Feverfew with these really pretty flowers. Feverfew is good for like headache and migraine prevention, and I wanted to get that in there, so hopefully I can dehydrate it and use it for tea blends, maybe even make a Feverfew tincture. But we'll see, we'll play around with that. And now straight back, there's more hyssop. You can see it gets really super bushy. And in the back, I do have some morning glory that I put in, and it's climbing up, which is what I've been trying to train it to do. But like any morning glory, you can see it's trying to grab a hold of the hyssop and other flowers, and it's vining up all of that too. But it really does look quite nice coming up the trellis to our back deck. And Up here, this is one of my most important things, and I'm going to be probably harvesting some more tomorrow morning. This is chamomile, and this is specifically is the Zloty land chamomile, which I think is one of the best ones you can grow, for using for chamomile tea. They got these really big yellow kind of centers to their flowers, and it has a lot of flavor, and it's got a lot of like the oils that you would want in a chamomile tea. So I have been picking a lot of these for dehydrating, and they smell pretty much like green apple when you pick them, so your hands smell really, really good. So, I got some zinnias in here, and I also have some salvia in here. I think this is Queen Anne salvia. You don't use this for teas or anything. I strictly put that in for pollinators. Bees love it, so I pop that in there for them, and it also looks really pretty. I also, for the first time ever, have grown some strawflowers, and they are just gorgeous, and they get so tall. I'm glad I put them towards the back, because as you can see, they're can get upwards of 5-6 feet tall, but they have the most beautiful flowers. And when you're sitting on the deck and you look out, the flowers are basically like staring at you, which is kind of cool. So I'm super happy I grew strawflowers. I'm definitely going to be growing them again. I might even try to save some of the flowers because they just look so pretty. But then in between the two strawflowers, I have the red Malabar spinach. And it's kind of hard to see, but red Malabar spinach loves heat. That's why I put it back here, because it basically gets a ton of sun. It gets really hot in here, but it did get kind of overshadowed by the morning glory on its left and the two straw flowers. So while it is still growing and vining up the trellis, it isn't like super big and bushy and sending out tons of vines, because I don't think it gets as much sun as it probably should. But I also have some more zinnias in here. And there are some phlox here that I started from seed. And these violas, the Johnny Jump Ups, which those are edible. I think Sam tried one and he said it tasted like grass. So take that as you wish. I have not tried one, but supposedly, you can eat them. People, candy them and use them on cakes. I think they're just really pretty. We got some nasturtiums here that are super bushy, really pretty. I just don't think they quite care for like full, like all day sun. These ones are doing, okay. I had a couple others over here, and I think it just got way too hot, and they just did not really thrive. So I don't know if I would put more nasturtiums in a really full sun hot area like this next year, but thankfully these ones are doing okay, and they're really, really pretty. Another morning glory here that really took off in the back, and it's going so far as to it's going to climb up the awning of our back deck. I've been trying to train all those vines to just keep going up, up, up. And they look so pretty. It kind of adds a whole new element to how the herb and tea garden looks. Again, more zinnias, just because you can plop them in anywhere, and they're just kind of this really nice pop of color in between all the green. And I got some petunias in there. I haven't been on top of deadheading them, so they are not putting out as many blossoms right now, because I haven't been out here taking off all these dead ones. The more that you do that, the more flowers you will get. Down below, kind of at this last kind of burst of the tea garden, is a couple like different types of basils. This is the Siam Queen Thai basil right here. And then the one in the back is the holy basil, or the tulsi. So I've been cutting those and dehydrating them as well. So when things kind of slow down around here and we're not as busy, I can start to kind of create a couple different tea blends and, you know, see what I come up with. Right now I'm just basically growing, harvesting, and dehydrating, and putting them into jars with little silica gel packets just to preserve them so I can, you know, play around with them another time. This is yarrow, and I know it doesn't look super pretty right now, but about a month ago this was all full of so much color, pretty much like these blossoms over here. So they were full of blossoms like these ones here, just really colorful, really pretty, really big kind of flower heads. And these you can, I think you can use in herbal tea or for medicinal purposes. I haven't been harvesting any of it this year because I just don't know much about it. So I've just been letting it hang out and look pretty, and it's pretty easy to care for. It doesn't need water, it doesn't need fertilizing. Pretty much the drier the soil and the poorer the soil, the better for yarrow. So you can kind of plant it and just let it do its thing, and it'll come back year after year. Now this side of the back deck we have the dragonfly pond. So we put this in a few years ago because we wanted to attract dragonflies to eat the mosquitoes that were driving us nuts. And over the past few years I've created areas in order to plant things around. I had originally just focused so much on aquatic plants, but aquatic plants were kind of a pain in the butt to even try to maintain, you know, just, you know, for me, because I don't know much about them, that I refocused things to all the other plants that I could do around it. So I do have a couple pots, like I have some peppermint in here and some catnip to the left. And it kind of looks a little scraggly because there are cats that do come by and eat it, which is fine because they take care of mice that are a pest. So I don't mind if they eat my catnip. Now down here I put in some peppermint that I started from seed, and when I put it in, it was just a little itty bitty plant in these 3 spots, and it's already spreading, which is fine. I don't mind it spreading. It smells really nice. I can come out, I can clip it and dehydrate it and use it for teas or whatever. So I absolutely love it, and I hope it does continue just to kind of spread all around. And right next to the peppermint, this is an Indian blanket flower that I actually saved the seed from last year, and they're really pretty. I don't think they really like being in that pot in full sun all day, so I don't think I would do that again with that particular flower, but they are still really pretty and giving us a few flowers. And behind this hummingbird feeder is blue spice basil, and I did not plant that. Seed must have somehow gotten over there and it sprung up all on its own, and it just looks really pretty, so I kind of let that be. In front of our little pond, that is creeping thyme. I put that in last year and it came back, and it really has crept. It's creeping all over. I really like the way it kind of shapes that left side of the pond. It just looks really nice. It's a nice ground cover and it smells good. I don't harvest it. I just let it go and let it flower. And in the pond directly, those are actually just a couple plants that we grabbed from a creek nearby. And I put them into some pots and put them in there just to add a little bit of life in there for there's a few minnows in there, and I think there's one little frog that likes to hang out, so they have a little bit of greenery in there. And if you kind of come around the edge of this pond, we've kind of just put rocks and old wood around to make it like a really rustic looking pond. But there we have some zinnias here. These I think are the Cupid mix zinnias. And they're really, really colorful. And then behind it, and these two spots, this is limoncello lemon balm. And this particular lemon balm should come back every year. And it's really nice for dehydrating because it has so much essential oil that when you dehydrate it, you don't really lose that essence. So that's why I picked the limoncello lemon balm. And for our zone, which is 5B, it will come back every year. I guess there's certain lemon balms that may not come back, so I wanted to make sure it would just come back for me every year. And it's filling in very nicely right around the pond as well. So in the back with the kind of white purplish fuzzy looking flowers, that's aquatic mint. That is an aquatic plant that kind of likes marshy, wet areas. And it's spread, and so it must be wet enough in this kind of wood chip base that it just is happy. So I keep letting that go. Now, one thing that I will continue to grow every year from now on, I've never grown before, is Calendula. They are really pretty, and they're a little sad looking right now. From getting really hot. The calendula does not like intense heat, so they kind of start to wither a little bit under those conditions. But I can't tell you how many flowers I've come out and snipped and dehydrated, and they're so nice. I think these are like the strawberry blonde calendula. I have the Resina calendula, which are some of the best for harvesting to use in salves and soaps because they have so much of that resin. So I definitely will be planting a lot more calendula in years to come. They're just so nice. And this plant over here, it's a little sad looking. Again, I think the heat really took a number on it, but this is honeywort. And this is another really favorite of the bumblebees. They love these flowers, the honeywort. You come over and they kind of vibrate on the bell-shaped flowers, so you hear this weird vibration humming, and it's kind of funny to listen to. And so when I'm picking the calendula, if there's a bumblebee in the honeywort, they get all agitated because I'm picking the calendula, and things just start going crazy over here. But it's a really pretty plant. It's almost got a succulent type of leaf, it looks like. It doesn't feel like a succulent, but it's almost got the appearance. It's really nice and really pretty. I don't harvest anything from the honeywort, purely just here for the pollinators and to look pretty. And the last thing that I have kind of on the back side here that's just starting to come up is Moldavian dragon head balm. And it just started to bloom, so I gotta figure out how to harvest this, but you can use this in tea. So it is a balm. So lemon balm, whatnot. So I do believe it can spread. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm looking forward to learning how to harvest and harvest it and see kind of what smell or flavor it might have. But I do believe it can get pretty tall, which is why I put it on kind of the back side. I did make a spot to the right of the greenhouse for Marshmallow. I cold stratified the seeds, which means I put them in the refrigerator for about 2 months, and just in the seed packet, and I left them there. And then I put the seeds right into the ground here. And it took them, not very long before they germinated. And the reason I chose over here is because this is a low spot in the property where it tends to stay just a little more wet or damp. So it is still good soil, but it will remain moist. And Marshmallow likes moist or at least damp soil. So I put the Marshmallow here, and it's going to be a few years, I believe, before I can harvest the roots. You pretty much want to harvest the roots for, dehydrating, and you can use them for digestive issues. It's got a very soothing property to it. So for upset stomachs, things like that. So I figured get it in the ground, and that way in a year or 2 or 3 I can start harvesting the roots. So that pretty much wraps it up for the herb and the tea garden. This was planned out, but I improvised a lot and changed my plans, and I'm really glad I did, because I think it has a very natural look. It's really pretty, really colorful, and really functional at the same time, and I am really looking forward to learning how to use everything that I grew and create many more like tea blends and maybe salves, and learning how to use all of these plants. So I look forward to learning and then sharing that with y'all as well. So thank you so much. Bye-bye. Are you getting like in on the plants? You have to like... So you can use that into tea. It brings in pollinators as well. Hang on. And you get your chamomile.
Eat it.
No. Supposedly, you can eat them. People, candy them and use them on cakes. I think they're just really pretty.
Try it.
No.
Okay.
Not right now. These blossoms over here, they're really... Oh, hang on. All right. You probably want to come over this way. No, toward... All right. Am I still in it?
You're good at to win it. We're gonna make some s'mores.